Hey Bama fans. Alabama QB Ty Simpson reacts to Heisman talk. Absurd. You think I would be absurd? At the end of the video, I want to see your comment. Ty Simpson had barely finished his sentence before he had already sparked a flurry of opinions. Absurd, he said, when asked about the talk of him being in the Heisman race. The word felt like a kind of break amid the growing excitement, but also a true portrayal of what Alabama has been like under Kalen DeBoer, a team that prefers to make noise on the field, not in the headlines. The Crimson Tide quarterback is on a spectacular run. Over the past 4 weeks, he has not only led Alabama to 4 consecutive wins, but also redefined the standard for offensive efficiency in the SEC. With 1,478 passing yards in 5 games, 13 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. This, coupled with a pass completion rate above 70%, is the kind of production that typically turns names into Heisman campaigns. But Ty Simpson seems determined to keep the focus away from that kind of talk. Thank you to the guys on the front line, the receivers, the running backs. It's kind of absurd what people talk about. He replied with the calmness of someone who understands the weight of wearing the Alabama uniform. And it's not just formal talk. Simpson lives what he talks about. Since DeBoer's arrival, the program's culture has once again been based on teamwork, discipline, and an almost obsessive pursuit of perfect execution. No individual brilliance seems more valuable than the moment of celebration in the locker room. And that's exactly what the quarterback emphasizes whenever he's in front of a microphone. But let's be honest. It's hard to look at what Simpson has been doing and not think about the Heisman. The numbers are elite, the playmaking is mature, and the confidence shines through even in the most tense moments. Alabama, which began the year surrounded by doubts about what life would be like after Saban, now relies on a leader who, despite his youth, plays as if he's grown up within the playbook. There's a clarity in his style, a balance between aggressiveness and calm, that recalls some of the program's recent greats. Still, Simpson insists all of this is external. I just want to do my job and celebrate in the locker room with my teammates, he said. This is the mentality DeBoer has cultivated since day one in Tuscaloosa, a team that approaches each game as a separate mission, another step towards something greater. It will undoubtedly be another real test for the Crimson Tide, a game that could determine whether Alabama is truly ready to reclaim its place as the dominant power in the SEC, and whether Ty Simpson will continue to ignore the noise or finally have to face it. For now, the quarterback is sticking to his guns. "I'm trying to win," he said, recalling the bitter taste of defeat in the first game of the season. "All of this is external to me. I just want to go 1-0 and win." It's an answer that says a lot about him and about Alabama today. At a time when so many players get lost in conversations about awards and projections, Simpson represents something rare, the mindset that individual success is a consequence, not a goal. And perhaps that's precisely what makes him such a legitimate Heisman candidate, even if he prefers to call that idea absurd. Let's see. Jaden Roberts' absence from the game against Vanderbilt drew attention for a simple reason. He is, or should be, a cornerstone of Alabama's offensive line. When a player with that profile disappears from the field, eyes naturally turn to head coach Kalen DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb for explanations. But, contrary to what many might imagine, it's not an injury or a disciplinary issue. It's something DeBoer has been preaching since his first day in Tuscaloosa. Real competition every day at every position. Roberts, a redshirt senior and a 12-game starter last season, did not take the field in the 30-14 victory over Vanderbilt. According to Grubb, he's still working on getting back on the field, but the coach made it clear that this is part of a normal process within the program's current philosophy. "It's competitive right now," DeBoer explained. "Some guys took advantage of their opportunities and made it harder for others who might have had bigger roles before." This statement speaks volumes about the new Alabama. The Crimson Tide is no longer in transition. It's in a full-blown rebuild where nothing is guaranteed, even for veterans with respectable resumes. Roberts played 29 snaps against Wisconsin without allowing a single pressure, a clean and efficient performance. Even so, he lost ground in the following weeks. Against Georgia, he played just 7 snaps. Against Vanderbilt, none. It's the kind of silent but powerful message DeBoer often sends to the group. Performance defines everything. While Roberts awaits another opportunity, Gino Vandemark has taken over at right guard, with Wilkin Formby emerging as the primary backup, and the system has worked. Alabama's offensive line, though still in its infancy, has shown cohesion and a level of discipline that reflects the firm hand of the new head coach. Still, no one within the program doubts Roberts' talent. I love Jaden. What an incredible kid. He has so much potential, DeBoer said. He just needs to keep working. And that's the gist of it. Roberts isn't out for lack of ability, but because at Kalen DeBoer's Alabama, merit is measured weekly. The player, who began the season surrounded by expectations, including preseason second-team All-American selections by CBS Sports and Sporting News, now faces the biggest challenge of his career, regaining his place on a roster that continues to evolve. In 2024, he accumulated 502 snaps, adding to the 570 the previous year. He was steady, reliable, and rarely made any major mistakes. But in this version of Alabama, the past doesn't guarantee the future. With the matchup against Missouri looming, the coaching staff still believes Roberts can contribute. Grubb said he expects him to be an active participant on Saturday, and that makes sense. Few players on the roster know the SEC's schemes and rhythm as well as he does. Jaden Roberts' story this season is, in fact, the story of Alabama itself under Kalen DeBoer, a program that demands adaptation, intensity, and consistency, even from the most experienced players. No one has a guaranteed seat, and that's exactly what's rebuilding the Crimson Tide's competitive identity. Alabama heads into its matchup against Missouri with a few more players out. Nothing that will shake the team's confidence, but enough to reinforce how demanding the SEC marathon has been. The availability report released this week brought some important news. Linebacker Caden Jones is out, wide receiver Jalen Backwee is doubtful, and star wideout Ryan Williams appears likely for Saturday's game. Jones' absence joins a familiar list, which includes Jamareen Latham, Jeremiah Beeman, and Kwarusaw, all dealing with more serious injuries. The loss of depth on defense is something Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff have been carefully managing since the start of the season. Alabama has been able to compensate for these absences with smart rotation adjustments and, most importantly, with the emergence of young players who are taking advantage of the moment to prove themselves. Caden Jones had been playing sparingly, but his role in the linebacker group was important in specific situations, especially in defensive rotation packages and on special teams. His absence, while not changing the core of the system, reduces flexibility in certain alignments. The Crimson Tide's linebacker core has been one of the most physical and consistent sectors of the team, and the reliance on players like Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell remains firm, but depth is always a relevant factor in a conference as brutal as the SEC. Jalen Backwee, a doubtful player for the matchup, is an interesting case. A sophomore and multi-role player, he has been used in limited situations, but with increasing impact. His speed and ability on short routes offer valuable options for Ryan Grubb's offense, especially when Alabama seeks to vary the pace between quick passes and explosive plays. If Backwee is out, the wide receiver rotation should be adjusted, with more room for players like Kobe Prentice and Kendrick Law to take on the bulk of the game. The good news is Ryan Williams, listed as probable. The freshman sensation is undoubtedly one of the most exciting names on the roster, and has shown the maturity of a veteran. His presence on the field transforms Alabama's offense into something much more dynamic, opening up the vertical game and forcing opposing defenses to spread out. If Williams is truly 100%, Ty Simpson will once again have his main weapon at his disposal against Missouri. Kalen DeBoer has been consistent in his message. Injuries are part of the sport, and the group's response to these challenges defines the team's identity. Alabama, ranked 8th in the rankings, arrives in Columbia with 4 consecutive wins, a fully tuned offense, and a defense that, despite being patched up, has maintained its standard of intensity and execution. The match against Missouri, ranked 14th in the country and still undefeated, will be another opportunity to test the depth and resilience of this squad. Every absence weighs heavily, but what Alabama has demonstrated since DeBoer's arrival is that the system is bigger than any individual player. Even with the loss of key players, the Crimson Tide continues to march forward with the same conviction. Winning is the only goal, regardless of who's on the field. Share your thoughts now.